How do you face an enemy that has turned war into science? While other nations relied solely on numbers or bravery, the Romans built a war machine that fused absolute discipline with a ruthless arsenal. And this arsenal wasn't made up of just swords and shields. It was a collection of surgical tools of destruction, designed to kill efficiently, spread terror, and, above all, dominate. Each weapon had a purpose. Nothing was accidental. But what makes these weapons so brutal isn't just what they did to the enemy. It's what they reveal about the Roman mind. A cold, calculating mind obsessed with total control. Today, we're diving into this dark side of the empire and uncovering 5 weapons that defined the very concept of Roman power. Let's begin with the one that formed the foundation of the entire machine, the hasta. Before the short swords shone on the battlefield, it was this long spear, nearly 2.5 meters in length, that ruled the wars of the Republic. Used in tight formations, where men marched like a living wall, the hasta allowed each legionary to keep the enemy at bay, striking with dry, repetitive thrusts. The spearhead pierced flesh easily. It was made for stabbing, not throwing, and that made it even more effective in close-quarters combat. On the front line, it represented what Rome valued most: order, coordination, and absolute discipline. No individual action, only collective force advancing step by step like a wall of flesh and iron. But if the hasta kept the enemy at a distance, the next weapon was made to destroy him before he could even get close. This weapon was the pilum, and at first glance it might have looked like just another spear. But one only had to witness its effect in the field to understand. It was a trap disguised as a weapon. Light, long, and seemingly simple, the pilum was thrown moments before hand-to-hand combat. But its genius lay in a detail few would notice until it was too late. The iron tip was intentionally soft. Upon hitting a shield, it pierced through with ease and then bent. Twisted and stuck in the wood, the pilum turned the shield into dead weight. The enemy soldier was forced to abandon it or die with it stuck to his arm. Imagine seeing dozens, hundreds of these projectiles flying at once, whistling through the air and embedding into the shields around you. It was more than an attack, it was psychological warfare. The soldier who survived the impact lost more than just his equipment. He lost his formation, his confidence, and time. Time the Roman legions would never waste. And the cruelest part, the pilum couldn't be reused. Once bent, it became useless to the enemy. Rome thought of everything. Every piece of metal, every curve of the weapon was designed with a single goal: to win with maximum efficiency and minimal chance of retaliation. And while the enemy was still trying to figure out what had just happened, that's when Rome revealed its most direct and merciless face. From the middle of the formations came the gleam of a short, sharp, and unforgiving blade, the gladius. Just over 50 centimeters long, this sword was made to function with surgical precision amid chaos. It wasn't a dueling sword. It was an extension of the legionary himself, a sharp iron tooth, created to pierce between ribs, slice through stomachs, and strike vital organs before the enemy could raise his weapon. And all of this happened shoulder to shoulder, within the tightest formations of the Roman army, like the legendary testudo, the tortoise formation, where shields locked together like an impenetrable shell. Inside that human block of discipline and steel, the gladius was king. One strike, one step forward, another strike, no hesitation. The Roman soldier was trained to aim for the belly, the neck, the soft parts. To thrust, always thrust. A sideways slash wastes energy. A thrust kills. That was the logic. Cold and efficient. Over the centuries, the gladius evolved. Variations emerged with wider blades, others with a wasp waist shape, narrowing in the middle and flaring at the tip, perfect for cutting through tissue and making wounds harder to heal. But the gladius, despite being deadly, still required close combat. Now imagine a weapon capable of killing without direct contact. A mechanical monster that launched projectiles with enough force to pierce through two men at once. This was the ballista, a siege weapon that looked like an ancient beast made of wood and twisted cords. Picture a giant crossbow mounted on wheels, with long arms pulled to their limit. Instead of arrows, it fired large bolts over a meter long, with sharp metal tips and tails designed for stability. When launched, they sliced through the air with a deadly whistle and struck targets with such force they could tear through shields, armor, and the man behind them. But that wasn't all. The ballista wasn't used for mass killing, though it was more than capable. It was used with precision, with calculation. It functioned like an ancient sniper, able to take out strategic targets on the battlefield. Generals, standards, elite cavalry. A well-aimed shot could throw entire armies into disarray. In Roman campaigns, it was common to see terror spread among enemies before the first physical contact even occurred. The mere sight of the ballista being assembled already sent shivers through enemy ranks. It was a clear reminder that while some people still fought with courage, Rome fought with engineering. But even with such power and range, not every fight happened in open fields. Not every threat came from afar. Sometimes the battle got so close that a soldier had to rely on the most intimate weapon of all. And that weapon was the pugio, a short, discreet, and absolutely deadly dagger. It was the last line between life and death for a Roman soldier. Unlike the other weapons in the imperial arsenal, the pugio wasn't designed for formation fighting or mass killings. It was personal, intimate, silent, worn at the waist or hidden beneath armor. It was drawn only when everything else had failed. Measuring around 20 to 30 centimeters, the pugio's blade was thick, double-edged, and ideal for striking vulnerable points, between ribs, at the throat, or under armor. A quick strike, a muffled snap, and the enemy fell. No fanfare, no glory, just the brutal necessity of survival. But the pugio carried a weight heavier than close-quarters combat. It became the ultimate symbol of betrayal. It was with daggers like this that Senate conspirators assassinated Julius Caesar, stabbing him dozens of times as he fell at the foot of Pompey's statue. An act that marked not only the history of Rome, but the very meaning of the blade itself. And like every weapon you've seen here, the pugio wasn't just sharpened metal. It was an extension of the Roman mind, where even the last breath could be part of the strategy. The Rome we know didn't rise through brute force alone, but through military brilliance that turned every battle into a mathematical equation of blood and precision. Every weapon you've seen here is a direct reflection of what made Rome unstoppable. Absolute dominance, achieved with coldness and efficiency. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were a Roman soldier, which of these weapons would you use to survive the battlefield? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know what you think. And if you enjoyed this story and want to see more epic content like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. In the video now on your screen, we'll reveal the secrets of the musculus, Rome's secret weapon,